Well, hello, everybody. Uh, it's I come with bearing good news and bad news. The bad news, of course, is that Marilane Carter is no longer with us. Of course, they got to do identification on the body that they found in her vehicle inside the shipping container. But hold on one second, I've got an echo for some reason. Hold on one second. Do y'all hear an echo, or is that just me? Do you hear an echo, or is that just me? Do you hear do you hear an echo now? I I muted my main computer. I may have another monitor open here. Yeah, that probably was it. Can y'all hear me right now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I guess you can hear me now. Does everybody hear me okay? Okay, great. Had just a malfunction there for a second. Um, We're going to talk about the Marilane Carter case in just a minute, but I want to update you on something. The Leah Cavett case, I don't know if y'all saw this or saw other channels reporting this, but they are reporting, I think one of the main news, CBS or NBC, is reporting that they also charged this witch doctor, self-proclaimed God, Shannon Ryan, with kidnapping today, along with his charges of lying to federal authorities. It is a sad situation down there in Florida. I want to share a little bit about what's going on and what the indictment is. I'll pull it back up here. I got a copy of the indictment, but it's very long, and the only really things you need to be aware of is what they're saying. If you want to see it and read it, I'll try to post it on my Facebook page. But it's basically saying that the federal agents, it says here, the indictment and complaint is one count kidnapping, and also it talks about lying to federal authorities. And basically, what the indictment says, and like I said, it's pretty long, is that this guy, Shannon Ray, he basically kidnapped Leah and the child, and for whatever reason, they think he may have been even planning to hold him for ransom. He had, and the reason why it goes on in here, and it talks about the truck, and I'm trying to find one simple section here. Consent to go Lexus directly in front of the apartment complex where the child was recovered. And then back to racetrack. And they found in a dumpster nearby there, they found toys and stuff that she would have had in her car or truck. They found all kinds of personal items of hers. And he had actually looked up when the garbage was going to be dumped commercially. So, I mean, this guy he's actually, he's a criminal. He's a pure criminal. He also bought stuff to make chloroform. He went and researched how to make chloroform on they got his phone. He researched that. So, and they figured he was going to use that in the process of kidnapping Leah. On August the 15th, 2020, search warrant was executed on Ryan's Lexus, and enforcement located a half-empty container of all-purpose cleaner with bleach and numerous trash bags and a white powdery substance under the front seat of the car. Now, they're not saying the white powdery substance was drugs. It may have been Lyme. It may have been something. I'm afraid she is no longer with us from what I've seen. And hello, Denise. Or Lori, I see you hollering, saying to Denise there. They specifically, they found children's toys, women clothing inside of the dumpster, and like I said, he had researched when that dumpster was going to be picked up. So I mean that shows intent of doing something wrong to her. Now I don't know if I don't know that if it indicates she did anything that they can prove that he killed her, but they can track his phone to find out. You know, right here it says, particularly law enforcement officer covered a Google search 12:01 a.m., which it does. What day does the commercial garbage pick up in Hollywood? So, you know, that could be that he did some harm to her and dropped her in the garbage somewhere. Or maybe it's just, I wouldn't think it was just for those clothes and stuff. But this part of the search warrant basically is to establish the FBI's nexus to the case. And why they got involved is because the car that he was in was manufactured in another state, and they brought them in. If you cross interstate borders, the FBI can automatically get in. Kidnapping itself is also a crime in Florida, but it's carried a much stiffer penalty in the federal system. At least I don't know why you're still up here on the screen. That's kind of weird. But I believe what they're going to do in this case, and this is the idiot that's in jail. He's currently in jail on no bond, hold for U.S. Marshals and he's in the Broward County Jail for kidnapping and giving false information to law enforcement. And a lot of times they will house federal inmates in the county jail. That's basically his rap sheet there, wherever in the county jail. So, and like I said, Lori, I don't know why that's sitting there anymore. I know that I could put that. All right, that took it off. But he's probably, they'll find either that she was harmed by him, and hopefully she was not murdered by him. But I'm sorry to say that I believe that's what will happen, because he's made every indication that he's wanting to know when the commercial garbage is being picked up and all this other stuff. So he probably dumped her body in the garbage. I hope not, but sounds like that. It doesn't sound promising, but Florida has, and the federal system has, a death penalty, and that might be one thing they'd offer him is, we will waive the death penalty if you will tell us where the body's at. And that may be something that happens in this case. It is another sad ending, but it sounds like that she might have been a little gullible at the start of this, that she went down there to meet this guy for whatever reason. And, he's into this mystical type of thing. I mean, he says he is the God, but, he's in jail right now. So they have plenty of time to talk to him. Now let's talk about this sad case here with Marilane Carter. And let me look at this screenshot here just a minute. Okay, yeah. This is basically the news report. It talks about Baton Rouge 38. 2 weeks after it's ended Tuesday, with her body being found in West Memphis, Arkansas, Crittenden County. I probably butchered that name. A female found dead in a vehicle, believed to be Carter. It turns out she was found by the uncle or her husband's uncle. Let's discuss. First, I want to talk about her initial, how she got there to start with, and what was in her mindset. I mean, first off, they are ruling it as suicide, possible suicide. They said it was carbon monoxide poisoning. The one of the reports that I read, but here's my problem with that. The uncle supposedly found her because the door to one of these shipping containers was open. You can't, if the door's open, there's no way for her to kill herself with the carbon monoxide, because it wouldn't be enough in that thing probably to kill her. I mean, the door's open, it acts like a chimney, it just pulls out. No chat showing. I see it. I don't know why y'all don't see the chat. I even see it on I see it on YouTube on my side monitor, and I see it in the main monitor. Is chat not showing up? Anybody else? Denise, do you see chat? Medina, do you see chat? Hey, hey, Lee. Okay. I don't know. It may be something. You may want to go out and completely come back in, Kitty. I don't know what the problem is. But the fact that the uncle saw the door open, and then he goes and investigates and finds the car in there. Well, you cannot do you can't have carbon monoxide poisoning in an interior chamber that has a door open. It's almost impossible. I wouldn't say it's totally impossible, but I don't know why. I mean, I'm confused about that. They misspoke. Maybe he said he saw the doors and went up there and opened them. All of them in those containers. I don't know why he would have done that, though. The containers would have been the last place, I'll be honest with you, that I would have looked. But let's go back to the beginning with Marilane. I think it's Mary Lane or Mary Lane, but I call her Mary Lane. She left. First off, her husband said that he bought her a plane ticket. I don't know if that's ever been substantiated or not, but she woke up from a nap and says, "No, I'm driving." Now, it sounds like if she did commit suicide, that she was dealing with bad depression. With bad depression. I don't think simple not sleeping. Not sleeping will make you crazy. I can tell you that. I've been up 36, 46 hours, 48 hours on a case, and you get kind of loony after that time. But I've never wanted to kill myself. And I think maybe that she was severely depressed, and that would lend to why I let a girl that's severely depressed leave your house by herself to a long trip. I just wouldn't do it. But I don't know their relationship up there. I think something that may have played into her mindset is she converted to Catholicism, and he was like a Baptist preacher, so it's total opposite end of the spectrum. So they may have had some indication of some friction there, but unless she backed in the container, the fumes would have built up. Now, I don't agree with that, because one, I'm going to show you a picture of the container and where her tires were. She wasn't in the whole container according to where the tires were pulled. See, when they put in park and the director has to pull that car out from the container to put it on this rollback, I guarantee you they never entered the car. The detectives may have entered it, but I guarantee you the record driver never did, because that is evidence. And plus, she has been in that car maybe for 10 days. And I can tell you the decomposition of that body. I'm telling you, I guarantee you those record drivers never went inside the vehicle to put it in neutral. It looks like they drug that car straight out. One thing, I don't even think if they backed into that container, if the door was open, there was no way that they'd build up enough fumes in there to kill her. Now, if she put a hose in her exhaust pipe and ran the hose inside the car, yes, that could have done it. Rolled up the windows, that could have very easily done it. But I'm not hearing that. Well, Kitty, they say in the report said her uncle found her because the door was open. That's what I heard. That's what I read. Is pretty much everybody with agreement on that? That's what I'm hearing reported. I ran and copied the screen because I couldn't find it. Actually, download a lot of these news agencies that download these news reports on YouTube, and it makes it very easy to convert them so that you can watch them. But unfortunately, this software I have won't let me download anything more than 100 megabytes of video. So I had to break this down into 3 segments, but I want y'all to watch this. It's about 6-7 minutes long, I think, and you'll be able to see what they think. And pretty much ruled it right away without even further investigation what I think. I think it's very suspicious what happened. I would have never in a million years thought about looking in a shipping container. All right, let me go and find this. First, let me show you this. This was the shipping container. Now, you see how much distance is back the other side? There's half a container the other side. So, you know, if it was backed in or if it was pulled in, if the front door was open, you can't do it. I'll just say it would be almost impossible. If you have a hose running into the vehicle, that might be something different. This is another shot. You can see there's more than half of that shipping container is empty. I don't know why she didn't, if she did drive in there, how she didn't pull it in there. And I don't see any footprints inside like, you know, somebody got out of the car or whatever. That's one thing. And another thing, look, it's halfway, the vehicle's just halfway in. That's all it is. And it'd be tough to back it up over this 8 or 9 inch or 5 or 6 inch lip. It'd be very tough. She'd have to rock it back and forth just to get it up there in a rear. But now front ways, you still would have to rock it. She'd spend a little bit of gravel getting it in there. I don't know how, you know, a lot of people would just give up. I don't know. And said that the uncle opened it, but the police said it was already saw the container and didn't check them because they didn't think she could put her car in there. And I agree with that. All right, let me let you listen to this press conference that I recorded and see if it'll be in 3 parts. First part.
At 10, missing Kansas mom Marilane Carter likely found in the Mid-South, but not alive. Hello, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. Greg is off tonight. They found a body matching her description in her vehicle inside a shipping container in Crittenden County. WREG's Luke Jones is live with some exclusive video of that vehicle and the shipping container. But first, Luke, I have to ask you, I understand that you have uncovered some new information.
Yeah, pretty alarming information. We've confirmed that authorities have already searched this field before today and had even seen that shipping container, but up until now, it had never occurred to anyone to take a look inside. Now, it's a fairly remote area, about a quarter of a mile from I-55, 3 miles in from the Tennessee state line, and yet all the evidence is pointing to Marilane Carter driving here of her own accord and then driving into that shipping container. Marilane Carter's GMC Acadia, seen for the first time in over 2 weeks. Detectives say her uncle found it hidden inside this shipping container in a Crittenden County field. And inside the SUV, a decomposing body, believed to be Marilane Carter.
I don't know what I was expecting. I was hoping for a more positive outcome where she would show up somewhere.
The body hasn't been positively identified yet.
Positive outcome where she would show up somewhere.
The body hasn't been positively identified yet. However, investigators can confirm this is Carter's vehicle. They say it also contains a credit card with Carter's name on it.
I believe that there wasn't any foul play. I believe that anything that happened by her own doing.
Carter's family tell us she was in distress when she left her home in Kansas August.
Positive outcome where she would show up somewhere.
The body hasn't been positively identified yet. However, investigators can confirm this is Carter's vehicle. They say it also first and was heading to Alabama, where she once lived, to seek counseling. August 2nd, she was seen on a surveillance camera at a West Memphis gas station, and a few hours after that, was on the phone with her parents, the last time they'd ever hear from her.
We were in contact with her all the way, but then partway through the trip, she started seeming confused and disoriented. She said she kept on getting lost.
Her phone pinged near the I-55 bridge, then went dead, and so did the trail, as detectives and relatives frantically searched. A search investigators confirm at one point brought them face to face with the shipping container where Carter's vehicle was eventually found.
Several of the searchers, including some of the family members, had seen the Connex trailers, but just didn't think to look in them. I just never would have dreamed that her vehicle would have been up inside one of them.
Now the body still has to be sent off to the state crime lab in Little Rock for an autopsy. After that happens, it could be days before we have a positive identification. Tonight, authorities here in Crittenden County saying nothing about how exactly Carter died. We're live in Crittenden County. Luke Jones, WREG News Channel 3.
All right, a sad ending to this story. Thank you, Luke. And tonight, Marilane's family issued this statement saying it has been the longest weeks of their lives as they clinged to hope. They also wanted to thank everyone who offered encouragement, prayers, tips, and help during this very difficult time.
You know, maybe I read that wrong, and they didn't say anything about that the door was open. I read that somewhere though. She could have done it. I don't see how she got out of her car though. It was right up against that. If you want, we can go back and look at that where these tire prints. I really just don't think she backed it in there. To me, that would be very difficult because there's about a 6 or 8 inch lip. And if you just take your car and try to back it up against the curve in reverse, it's pretty tough. I mean, you got to get it going to do it. I mean, it's not impossible, but I think, let's go back and look at this thing. I mean, you see all the way back in there, and look how it is, how much distance it is on the side of that wall there. I mean, it looks like, I guess I could get the measurements of a Connex trailer, a Connex box, and on the either side, and then you look at how wide a common car is. I bet there's not a foot distance right there. I don't know. It seems. I mean, if somebody wanted, all right, just for instance, let's just say, for argument's sake. Let's just say that there's foul play involved. For argument, right there on that side, there ain't no way nobody could get in there, I don't think. And let's see on this side. See that, how close the wheels are to the wall? I don't know. It just looks kind of suspicious to me. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that she pulled it in forward, climbed out the back, shut the doors, and then climbed back in through the thing. I guess she could do that. I don't know, or somebody could have drove with her up there and do that. But if it's suicide, and it all depends. It looks like suicide if she died of carbon monoxide poisoning, and it looks like the car was found empty of gas, but the ignition was on, so it would indicate that it was running. There's no way that she could got out on the side of there and lock the doors. First off, I don't know that the doors can be shut from the inside. I mean, that's something we need to find out too. And if I apologize for not finding that out earlier, but can the doors of a Connex box be locked from the inside? I don't think they can, to be honest with you. I don't think they can. And if they cannot be locked from the inside, how did this happen? I don't know. I'd like to know, I guess. I'm not convinced that she got out and shut the doors, because to me, I don't think there's room enough and to do it. I know I have a friend that actually has a car, and he parked in one of these big boxes, and he climbed out the window and got out to shut the door. But I don't think you have enough room to open the door and get out. And then I don't think you can lock the door from the inside. And what would be the reason to have a lock from the inside of a Connex box? Think about that. What would be the reason to do that? You know, I don't see that. I really don't. And that's okay, standard size you said was 8 feet. Okay, well a car is close to that. I mean, it's fairly close, 7 feet something. I think a car is, and no footprints that I can see. But that, I mean, that may be. All right, let's just say she didn't go out the door. Let's say she opened up her car from the inside, crawled out the back, and shut the doors. Did she lock them? Or she just pull them shut? That's what I'd like to know, is if she, first of all, I don't think you can lock them from the inside. And if you pull them shut, maybe it would be enough to allow the fumes to build up in there and kill her. I would like to know how that's possible, but I know if you shut the doors on those Connex boxes, if you can pull them tight like that, if you could, and if they would stay together, you probably would have enough. But that means she would have to crawl out the back and lock the doors, climb back in the car. And you would have to get this pretty fit in your mind that you were going to do something like that to take, it wouldn't be just a thing, I'm just going to drive up here and do this. It's pretty thought out. And I don't know if that's, what the possibility of those things are. I'd like to know. Yeah, the hose in the window is a big thing, especially if you got the door shut, maybe not locked, maybe not secured tight. If you decide to run a hose from your tailpipe into the car, a rear window, whatever, or roll the windows down, maybe with the door as tight as you can, you would probably do it. You'd probably do it. I think it's possible, but I think she's going to have to crawl out the back and shut the doors, because I don't think she'd be able to do it any other way. But I want to show you something, and y'all tell me what you think about it. We talked a little bit about this yesterday when I made that announcement that I heard. This trip, if you fly it by air, it's 3 hours and 45 minutes. If he bought a ticket from Southwestern Airlines, like the information is, and then then she wakes up from a nap and says, "Nope, I'm driving." It's a 10-hour and 38-minute drive. If she takes this road right here, 11-hour and 3 minutes from the other end, and it appears she might have took the high side rather than the low one. This is the projected way that I heard that she was going to take, and she took to West Plains. Now, she stayed in West Plains for the night, or for 3 hours, basically. And while she was driving this, everything was fine. talking to her mother, her husband on the radio, on the phone. Everything appeared fine. Okay? No indication that she's in urgent need of anything. No indication. Other than, getting to Birmingham. Now, from West Plains, if she went the road that I've got here, then it would be about a 3-hour and 21-minute drive doing the speed limit. It took her 8 hours. Where was she during the 4 hours and 40-something minutes? Where was she during that time? Was she in a crisis state of mind? She had been talking to her mother and also her husband various times, and they didn't feel like that she was in a crisis situation, but she took an extra 4 hours and almost 5 hours to drive 3 hours and 21 minutes trip. You got to look at that and say, where was she? Was she looking for that perfect place to end her life? Why didn't she discuss something with her friends? Why didn't she discuss something with her mother or whatever? Now, when she did arrive, she arrived down there at Hazen, Arkansas. I think it's Arkansas. From Hazen to West Memphis, where her phone went dead, is 1 hour and 23 minutes by road. This was like, I want to say they said 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours. So you see what I'm talking about? There's something she is thinking about it, trying to find a good place to do it if she's suicidal. But right there, she said she was talking to her husband. Nothing was wrong. Never did say, at least he's not saying if she indicated anything that she was suicidal at all. And her mother didn't say anything either. But when she got near West Memphis, then this is where she told her mother, "I'm on a dirt road. I'm confused at where I'm at." How do you go from "I'm on a dirt road, I'm confused where I'm at," to driving your car inside a shipping container and killing yourself? It's a pretty, if she had been talking to her mother and said, "Mom, I just don't see a way out of this. I don't see," would have given any indication at all that something was so drastically wrong that she wanted to end her life. But she didn't with her husband, that he is saying, and she didn't with her mother, that she is saying. I don't know, unless they are holding back because they didn't want to, I don't know why they would. At this point, when she's missing that long, I think it'd been a time to tell them everything. No, I think they're going to do an autopsy. Excuse me. I heard they're doing an autopsy. I don't know, Rich, if he was on medication. I would think if she is not sleeping, she had worked for a mental health facility before, then maybe she would be on some medication. I would hope she would. Her uncle says she saw the door slightly open. Kitty, is that what you're saying? Slightly open, not able to get out to close it. Yeah, I agree, but I don't, how slight open, that's the thing. I don't know what slightly open means. Does that mean, if the news media is saying that's open 6 inches or 4 feet? I don't know. It's a big question. They did say the ignition was on when they found her, but it could have been anything. The ignition was on would lead me to believe that the car was running when it was parked. I just um, what I've seen and what I've seen of this pictures and everything, I just don't see them backing the car in. That is, to me, that is not the way it happened. One thing you got to think about: say that they did crawl out the back to do the shutting the doors. If this is truly a suicide, if they backed it in, she wouldn't be able to do it. Unless she crawled over the front of the top of the car. I just think that's not feasible. It's very well feasible if she did pull it into the Connex. It's not an easy job to pull it into something that has a lip of about 8 inches high, 6 to 8 inches high. It's not going to be easy, but it can be done. If she does it fast enough, whatever, goes up in there, puts it in park, lets it run, crawls out the back, shuts the doors the best she can, crawls back in the car, rolls the windows down. Eventually it would happen. It's not going to be like 30 seconds. Not going to be like the movies, because you're talking about asphyxiation through carbon monoxide poisoning. If they don't have a hose in there, it's going to be it may be even longer, but you will pass out most likely because of but it'll be a while, because that Connex box is about 50 feet long. So it's not like it could fill up with this carbon monoxide overnight. I'm saying probably with that big a box, I bet it'd take an hour, maybe less, but it'd be close. I heard they were doing an autopsy to confirm that it is Marilane Carter, because a body that's been in a hot container without it being sealed in a vehicle or not that long is going to go through full rigor mortis. They're going to the body's going to swell. They're going to have maggots, and I'm sorry to be this way, but they're going to have blowflies, maggots. They're going to have everything all over this body, because they can get to them. I don't care where you put them, they can get to them. And so it's going to be massively decomposed. I think it's not going to be Skeletor type skeletons, but it's going to be decomposed. It will not be pleasant to see or even to smell. So I'm thinking they are definitely doing. I don't see her backing into that place. I would say that I just don't see it. It to me, I don't know that I could back one into that place. It doesn't matter about the tow truck. That doesn't matter. What I believe they did is they pulled that thing out from the rear, got it away from there, then they hooked it up, pulled it back up on the rollback. That doesn't, which way it's facing on the tow truck doesn't mean anything, because they will pull it out of that box. They will examine it as a crime scene. They will hook that record to it, and they pull it back up on the thing. It doesn't matter which way it's facing. When I saw that, that didn't mean anything to me. I've seen them take cars and that went into the canal and stuff like that, and they pulled them out from the rear and then put them on forward. That doesn't mean anything. I don't think it was backed in just because of how hard it would be to back it in, and the fact that if she killed herself, she would need to shut the doors, and that would mean she'd have to crawl over the top of her car. If she's pulled in forward, she can pop the back, crawl out the back, shut the doors, crawl back in. I just don't think it has anything to do with that. The way no, they don't tow it with a body inside most of the time, because of the fact that, they just don't do it. I have seen them do it before, though. Have seen them put a tarp over it and carry it to wherever they want to do it, and then they extract the body somewhere else. Had dual exhaust, but one pole. I don't know. I've seen them take them with the body in the car before, depending on if they don't have a situation that they feel like is adequate to remove the body. But I believe they pull the car out into the area. They process the scene. They remove the body right there. Then they sealed the car, and he put it on the thing, carried it away. Under suicide, I'll post this here. Under suicide, no, they won't tell you what was in her system. Be lucky to know that it's suicide. Be honest with you. They did not release the manner of death, but the sheriff or whoever was there said he believed that it was by her own demise. That is, I would think because this case went everywhere, across the United States and different places, I would think they may say that it was suicide. I don't know if they will come out and put it in words. You probably will never hear what the toxicology is. You will hear that yes or no, it was her by the autopsy. And that's about all you'll hear. Unless they think it could be a homicide or even an accidental homicide. Yeah, I agree, Denise. I actually talked to somebody about this the other day. There's so many questions on where she was during that time period. A 3.5 hour trip took her over 8 hours to get to the gas station. Where was she? Did she go to somebody's house? Did she talk to somebody? I don't know what those answers are. I don't have those answers. So they'll look at her phone. They'll look at everything about it and where she was. They'll probably try to do a trace with towers to find out why it took 8 hours. Now, look, we're not talking about she just stopped somewhere and rested for a couple hours. You're talking about 5 to 6 hours you're missing. I mean, I don't know where she could have been. What I thought happened the beginning until they found her. I thought maybe she was in communication with somebody or not. I'm not saying having an affair, but she was converting to Catholic. So I know that had to cause friction in their home life. I was thinking maybe she was at a Catholic church, and she may have stopped at a Catholic church on the way and had gone in and talked to her priest or went to pray to forgiveness for what she was about to do. We don't know that, but we may know that in the future, but only if it comes out through the family or whatever. But you think about this, what I thought it was before that maybe she sought refuge with the Catholic Church somewhere, because I was hoping that she was in a Catholic mental health of some sort where, someone was taking care of her, because she could tell a priest anything. He's not going to tell anybody unless she says, I'm going out and kill myself, or if she admits she's going to go out and do a crime like murder or something, then a priest has an obligation to tell the police. But if she just says, I'm not, I'm depressed, this is going on in my marriage, and, sometimes I don't feel like living, or how does God feel about suicide? If she is a devout Christian, whether Catholic or Baptist or anything, there are some concerns with people about and I don't know if you're believers or not, but there's some concern about people on whether or not if you commit suicide that you will go to heaven. You'd be in the afterlife. So, it may be that she went by to a Catholic church and went to confession and went to, and talked to somebody about this, but just didn't get the answer she wanted. I don't know the answer to all that. It was definitely mental health. She had a mental health issue. They're not saying what it is. They're saying that she was sleep deprived. Okay, she's sleep deprived. I understand that. That can be. Listen, I have been there, sleep deprived. And there was a time in my life I couldn't sleep. When I retired from law enforcement, I worked normally nights. Nighttime was my thing. I'm a better night person even now. I would rather work at night. I'd rather stay up at night, sleep in the daytime, because that's what I did for like 20 years. So when I retired, I was sleep deprived. I couldn't sleep and lay in bed and just to 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, could not sleep. I was having to take Benadryl and everything, just nothing really works. Any type of prescription meds, all that stuff, you can just medicate yourself. I don't know. I just never could do it. But gradually, after about 8 years now, I'm gradually working where I can go to sleep about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Sleep till about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock if I'm lucky. But most of the time 8 or 8:30, sometimes even earlier. But it's because working nights was ingrained in me. I love working midnight shift. I love working all night. It's just a different world that you work in out there. Well, there is some questions in my mind whether or not everything, to me, from what the news said and the sheriff says and everything I've been looking at, it looks like it's a suicide. That's what it does. But then you throw these little tidbits in there. One, you look at the pictures of the Connex trailer. There's no way she could open the doors to get out, to shut the doors. Did she crawl across the back seat, open the back, get out, and go shut the doors and crawl all the way back in? I don't know. Maybe she left the door open once it was to get more thing in there, to get more smoke and carbon monoxide in there. Let's go back. I want to go over here too, and we'll look at a picture of her car and her. This is her car. It was a hatchback, 4-door. I don't believe she could backed it in. I don't believe she did. If it turns out she backed that car that's found backed in, I'll have some serious issues with that, whether or not it was suicide. I really will. But we may never know. We may never know that. Not unless we talk to somebody that knows one of the officers on the scene, and that's possible because that area it looked like about 25 to 50 officers are out there. And I'll tell you something about police. They're bad about going to the crime scenes. If they're working and there's a bad scene, everybody wants to go. And it's not because they're morbid or they want to see something that's going to gross them out. It's just the way that cops are. They're inquisitive. They want to know what's going on. They want to go and see everything. Whether it's people that jump off of a 30-story condos or people that just are involved in really bad wrecks. The surveillance, that was, and I'll go back there. I addressed that a little bit last night. This was out of a store in Haleyville, Alabama. And you can see the person that posts this, and if we'll let you read through this. This was posted by Marilane Carter, missing by MIM, whatever that is. I guess that's her name. Birmingham just stopped at a gas station off Highway 22 near Haleyville, Alabama. The store clerk and I got into chatting about missing persons that had several signs posted, including Mary Lane's. This woman at the gas station said that Marilane stopped at the station. She told me her husband had came by himself and reviewed the tapes. She stated that her father-in-law, who owns the station, sat with the husband to review the tapes about a week and a half ago, and that Marilane's husband confirmed that his wife was on the tape to her father-in-law. She stated that the husband had come by himself, reviewed the tape. She stated that her father-in-law, who owns the station, sat with the husband to review the tapes about a week and a half ago, and that the Mary Lee's husband confirmed that his wife was on the tapes to the father-in-law. She stated that the police had not come by and will not review the gas station. She could not, stated that the, and it's blocked out, police had not come by, will not reveal the gas station's name or crossroads. This will be removed this will be reported to the tip line, location, name of the gas station. I have photos of the location. I hope this helps the group in tracking. I just reiterate that this is just, well, I don't know if I may have read the wrong thing, but basically what it says, it's a gas station off Highway 22 in Haleyville. Now, I've been to Haleyville. It is a little bitty town. And I don't know. It would be a stop over right before you get to Birmingham. It's just north of Birmingham, just northwest of Birmingham. Let me see, this one more map I got highlighted for some reason here. Okay, here's Haleyville. If you went to West Memphis, you would go up here. You would be going down through that road through Jasper and to Birmingham. See where Haleyville is? I mean, it's right there on the way. Yeah, I don't see all of this. That's confusing to me, because if this is true, that she did in fact drive all the way to Haleyville, and that her husband actually did come down and confirm this, then I don't understand that. Why was her car found in West Memphis? I don't know. It's that to me, and I don't know if this maybe, I don't know why somebody would say something like that if it wasn't true. Not in this situation. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. If I'd like to, now I kind of want to go back and contact that lady and say, I know this is all over, but what the heck? I don't know. For some reason, I've lost the chat up here on my side for whatever reason. The chat has froze up. I don't know if there's any verification that it ever happened. I did see that post. I mean, one is, why would somebody post that and say her husband came down there to verify that? That would be easy to verify. Just call the husband, and then why not the police coming down? I don't know. I got the chat back now. I don't know what the problem was. That is very confusing. Now, maybe it didn't happen. I mean, under this circumstances right now, I'd say it didn't happen, because unless somebody, if this turns out not to be a suicide and this, somebody kidnapped her and took her back up there and put her in that shipping container. I don't, yeah. Yeah, this comment here. Yes, that could be. I never pick up a hitchhiker, but I know some other people very close to me that have. But it's usually been, you know, I just don't recommend it. But a lot of this, we don't, as far as I know, what's going to happen in this thing, they're going to verify who she is, and that's going to be it. One thing I would like to know, if there was a note, was there a note? Exactly how did it happen? But unfortunately, unless someone comes through with a leak from law enforcement, or the family puts it out there as trying to help others with mental health issues, you're probably not going to know. And, you think about this. She has 3, I don't care what was going on with her husband. Let's forget that. She has 3 little children. 3 little kids that lost her mama. And I talked to somebody, I know somebody, and I'm not going to mention names or anything. I know somebody that had tried to commit suicide a couple of times. And I asked him, how could you do that and do that to your kids? How could you let your kids live with that? And they say, all I want to do is end the pain. And it's not a physical pain, I don't think. I think it's an emotional, something emotionally. You get depressed and you don't see any way out. But I'm going to tell you something. You got to think about this. If you drive your car into a shipping container, you crawl out the back of it to shut the door, and you crawl back into it to get this thing started, there is no doubt that you want to kill yourself. You have no doubt, because when she climbed out of the back of the car, that gave her a reason to open the doors and say, what am I doing? When she shut the doors and climbed all the way back over into there, if she did that, that gives us another point to say, what am I doing? And when you drive up into a shipping container, I'm going to tell you, I know I've heard some of you say here that, oh, you would have looked in that shit. I wouldn't have. There's no way I looked into it. Why? That would be the last place I would think a missing person would go, into a shipping container. Even if they wanted to kill herself, that would be the last place. There's a whole lot other ways to kill yourself other than driving yourself into a shipping container. In fact, of all the law enforcement, 33 years of my law enforcement career, I've never heard of that. Not once. It's not something that I've ever heard of anybody doing. I've heard of people going to the garage. I've heard of them, cutting their wrist. I've heard them taking pills. That is not a way I see a lot of women kill themselves. It would have been a lot easier for her if she'd have parked up underneath a bridge somewhere and just took a bunch of pills or whatever. I don't know. It just blows my mind, Still collecting evidence, even though they believe it's suicidal. Digital records may help understand what happened. Well, I don't personally, if the family doesn't put it out there, we'll never know, because the family does not, if they rule it a suicide, that's all it'll be. It'll be a private matter in the family. We will never, ever know what her tox level was unless somebody comes out and tells somebody. We'll never know if she has suicidal tendencies. We'll never know her complete mental health. We'll never know anything. It's a private matter if it happens like that. It's just like in your neighborhood right now, or in your city where you live, I'm sure that you have COVID cases that have died in your city. Do you know where these people live? Do you know where these people that have COVID live now? No, because it's HIPAA. But even the death cases, HIPAA applies. And I say this, I know that they have, speaking of COVID, I know that the police now have a list of houses that have COVID patients in them, because a cop, one of the local guys, sheriff's department, told me that. He said, before we go, we look at the list. If it is a house, then we glove up, mask up, we make sure we're doing everything right, because we know. And they don't answer calls to that house unless it's an emergency. Domestic violence, all other calls are taken over the phone. So what I'm saying is, if this is a true suicide, only thing that we are going to hear about is if it was her in that car. And that is it. The only way we'll hear about it is if something happened that caused to believe it was more than a suicide, and it may have been a homicide. Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. When she was gone in that 8-hour trip, instead of, it's supposed to be a 5-hour or 3 hour and a half trip from the hotel up there where she stopped for gas in Hazen. But it turned into over 8 hours. What was she doing? Personally, I think she was dealing with the demon of suicide, or the when I call it that, because depression, suicide. One thing is, why in the world did her husband let her, or any family member let her drive that distance that she's suicidal? I just want to know. Well, the reason why is we went out to the scene and we didn't see what's out there. If the car, and I don't believe, like I said, it was backed in. I just do not believe it. It'd be too hard for her to shut the doors. If it was pulled in straight like we think, if it shows if she maybe climbed through there and locked the doors on her own, if it shows she had a note in there, if she left a note, and they're pretty sure it's, they have to get that verified if it's in her own handwriting. If she left a video or audio memo, I mean, we got to think about it. We're in a digital time now. If she left that sort of thing, then it could pretty much seal the deal for suicide. If she put a hose, water hose, I call it a hose pipe, I'm gathering that's the old way of saying it, but if they put it in their tailpipe, ran it over into her car window and locked all the windows, I mean, it looks pretty grim, and it looks like the case of suicide. But I think the police will look, especially the FBI and other law enforcement, will look at all the avenues. And when they look at the tox report too, if say they run the autopsy, and the tox report doesn't have any medication in it, but all the indications of suicide, and the body doesn't have any type of bruising, strangulation, any type of thing that would occur in a homicide, and this is just that. I mean, either it's suicide or it's a perfect crime, one or the other. But you got to look at too is why, if it was not suicide, why would somebody do that? Because her credit cards, her phone, and all of her personal items, I'm assuming money and everything, were found in the car. So it doesn't make for a robbery type scenario. It's all of the indications that what they're saying would be for a suicide, but it's just a brand new one for me. I've never anywhere heard of somebody parking themselves inside a Connex box and killing themselves. Well, I think what do you mean, CC? was in the car. Her CC was in the car. Concealed carry, you mean was there a gun in the car? I don't know. I never heard that. I didn't even know she had a gun. I think if she had a gun, maybe her husband should have taken it away from her, if nothing else. I'm still going back to your credit card. Maybe you said credit card. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what she means. Yes. They said the credit cards and everything were in the car, which, I think if it would have been me, doing that press conference, I would have never said suicide this soon. But you don't know they may have wanted to put everybody at ease, thinking that it's not another murder. Although if you go look at West Memphis, it's a very violent area. I mean, I was just searching around there, and there's shootings and killings all the time there. But most of it's over drugs. But yeah, I don't know what her husband's reaction was to it. I think that the guy said, what he's seen at the scene indicates to him it was her own demise. Well, what is he saying he saw? Did he see the hose done in the car? Did he see the look like the door tried to be secured from the inside? Did he see a note? Did he see something like that? I don't know what he saw that would convince him without any investigation, or an autopsy, that it was a suicide. I don't know. I don't know too, the uncle. Yes, it would be great to hear from the uncle. And we may do that. The uncle may come out, because there's so many people saying that, this is just weird. I've never seen this before. Maybe the uncle will come out. It was good investigation on the uncle's part that all the other people in the family, they said, went back to Kansas. He stayed to look at the area, and basically he probably took a map and kind of drew out with a circumference 2.5 miles. I think they said that was the cell phone ping distance, and just went around to all these different areas to see, if there was somewhere that she could be parked or wherever. Yeah, this is something. Yeah, I've had some questions about that. I don't think that girl that said she loaned her $10 at the gas station, I don't think they were talking about her. Maybe it was supposed to be the opposite way around. Maybe Marilane loaned this other girl $10. The credit cards and everything. If that's what you're talking about, I don't think the husband stopped payment on anything. It was indicated that they wanted her to spend money to track her. That was why they I don't think that was the issue. I think probably this girl got it backwards. Maybe she gave her money instead of the opposite way around. Then you said something here. It's pretty good. I like to highlight that. Yeah, could the family be satisfied with the investigation, and would the influence by the investigators seem to wrap it up quick? It would if, you look at circumstances. You think about this. You got a. I don't think it was the uncle's property. I think it was just like some of this property they put these Connex boxes out on. I don't think it was the uncle's property. That's not what they're saying that I read. But you look at this. If just say that you got an investigator and he's been looking for this woman that's been missing for 12 days, She went missing. When she went missing, she was having some mental issues. She was lost. She was confused about where she was. And she was going to seek mental health. And then Say goes to the scene, and sure enough, this thing has got all the markings of somebody trying to kill themselves with carbon monoxide poisoning. It'd be easy to assume right away that that's what it is. But I have a real problem between the time she told her mother, I'm on a dirt road, I'm confused at where I'm going. I'm just so confused. How did that lead to suicide? Being confused to driving your car inside a Connex box and killing yourself. Something just doesn't add up for me. It just doesn't seem, going for, unless she told her mother, look, it maybe what they were talking about on the way was, she was suicidal or, something like that. Then that's a whole different story. If she tells her mother on the way that she's thinking about killing herself and, she has really nothing to live for, and her mother's trying to talk her back down from this, you got kids, you got this, got that. I don't know how she could go from I'm confused, I'm on a dirt road, to parking her car inside a Connex box and killing herself. I don't know. It doesn't seem reasonable. Of course, what's reasonable when you're talking about committing suicide? But it doesn't seem like that it just seems like more to it than that. You're talking about going straight from being confused and on a dirt road to at some point driving your car inside of a Connex box and killing yourself. I don't know. I'm hoping later on we find out there's a, what the thing is. Maybe we'll hear that there was a note or a last phone call to somebody. It could have been a phone call to the uncle. We may hear later on that it was a phone call to the uncle that said, look, I can't handle it anymore. Life got too big for me or whatever, and do it. If there's no note, no other indication that she freely killed herself, I personally wouldn't rule it a suicide. Not until I found out how you can go from I'm lost on a dirt road, gravel road, and I'm confused to killing yourself. Unless, one, she's tried it before. See, I would love to know that. Did she try it before? Has she been admitted to a mental institution before with suicidal thoughts? Has she done it before? Yeah, she could have called the suicide helpline. That's exactly right. I want to know if, I don't know. Has she ever had any? They say she had mental issues, but they never said she was overly depressed. Because I'm going to tell you, folks, if I'm overly depressed, or my wife's overly depressed, or my sister, if I had one, was overly depressed, or my best friend was overly depressed, and they wanted to drive 10 hours to another city to go to a mental place, I'd be in the side seat with them driving, even if I had to take a bus back home. And it's just I'm not going to let somebody I care about take a trip like that, by themselves. Just not going to do it. Well, I hope what you will do is do what I did. You will go to these websites as much as you can and try to find anything at all that we're missing. Go to her Facebook page if she has one still, and try to find out what's missing. I am going to play one thing for you. This is a little video I discovered through another website where Marilane had made a YouTube tape where she was trying to get a job or something, but you can tell a little bit of mannerisms and stuff. I'm going to play this for you. It's not very long, a couple of minutes.
This program interests me because the course content and the opportunity for professional development really stood out to me. I looked at a few different education programs in the area, and I believe that this is the best one for helping me become an elementary school teacher. As far as my experience with children, I think I first realized I was interested in helping children learn when I worked as a tutor at a Boys and Girls Club near my college campus. The children there just really appreciated people taking the time to read with them and to assist them with their homework, and it made a big impact on me as well. After graduate school, I worked for 4 years as a hospital chaplain and frequently visited the children and youth on the adolescent psychiatric unit. Sometimes this meant listening to a child share what he or she was going through. Sometimes this meant leading a group in a time of reflection. More than anything, I made it my objective to create a safe space for children to share their feelings and to feel heard. Probably the most significant experience I have with children comes from being a mother to 3 children, ages 2, 4, and 7. I'm constantly looking for ways to further my children's education when they're at home and to help them develop a love for learning and especially for reading. I think I would be a successful teacher because I love to learn, and it would be my goal to help children discover a love of learning for themselves. I also think my experience with working with children from diverse backgrounds would be helpful in a classroom setting. I have a heart to see children thrive in a positive learning environment, and it would be my goal to achieve this as an elementary teacher. Thank you for reviewing my application. I look forward to hearing from you.
See that? I mean, this girl's not stupid. She's smart. She's very smart. And I don't understand it. I mean, she worked with youth and troubled youth. She worked with suicidal type groups. You can tell the type of training she'd had. And yet, she took her own life. I don't know. I know, listen, I've seen people that have been depressed, been around them, worked suicidal people. Life hadn't been all roses for me either. And I know probably that suicide, and I've talked to people that have tried to commit suicide. It is a monster that rides on their back. But if I watched that tape of that girl, and I think that was a couple of years ago, but what in the world could have happened in 2 years to lead her down that road? What could have happened? I don't know. I know a lot of it's chemical imbalance and all this other kind of stuff, but man, I don't know. And y'all are exactly right. You think if my wife or my son or my best friend or even a friend was depressed or needing psychiatric help, then do you think I would let them drive by themselves 10 hours? And I've heard people say, well, she's a grown woman. She just go where she wants to. Listen, people, if you're married, you're a team, and you don't, that would just never have happened. Never. I'm just telling you. If it meant me going out there and getting in the car and not getting out, it's just not going to happen. It's just not. And I don't know why or what type of relationship that her husband and her had, but I mean, he's a minister. He ought to know. I know he's talked to other people that have been suicidal. I think back, and I go back to this one time. I dealt with a guy that was really depressed. He was dying. We got a call at a house. The mother said, look, he's irate. I can't control him. He's bedridden, but he's just throwing things and just everything. Somebody just talk to him? And I went in. It was a dark room. and a guy was laying in bed, and he told me, he said, I'm dying of cancer. And I said, I'm sorry. And he said, well, I'm sorry too. And, we talked for about an hour about basically everything. And I talked to him about if he believed in God, and if heaven, you believe in heaven, and what I believe in God, and I believe in heaven, and what I believe is waiting for us. I think it wasn't the fact that he was mad at God or the situation or even depressed. He was mad at the fact that what he's going to lose, what time he's going to lose. He's looking at reality. And I guess that is something that every one of us got to face sometime in our life. But yeah, it's easy. Am I back with y'all? It says I am now. My computer died. It says I'm still live. Do you still see me here, or did I come back? Okay, I'm back. My computer ran out of battery. I'm sorry. I should have plugged it up, but I didn't think really that I was back. I didn't even think I would be able to get back, to be honest with you. Thought I was lost in Never Never Land. But anyway, thank you so much for staying with me here. And, this is just life, you know. But, mental health issues are a serious issue, and depression, it can take you down a dark rabbit hole. And but I'm still saying my problem with all of this is, how can you go from being lost on a dirt road and confused to suicidal? Of course, we don't know. Her phone went dead. She may have drove around West Memphis. She may have went to Hazelville. She may have just decided, no, I'm going back home. We don't know how long between the time. Of course, they probably will find out an estimated time of death. But the way they usually do that is they take a liver temperature. And if you've been dead within 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 or even 20, I guess it's 18 hours, whatever it is, then they could tell how long you've been dead. But if the body's been decomposed, what they'll have to do, and I don't want to gross anybody out, but what happens when the body's exposed to the elements is that you have blowflies that will come to the body, and that happens in a certain amount of time, and then maggots come to the body, and that happens in a certain amount of time. So what they'll do is they'll take a forensic pathologist and doing an autopsy. They'll know about when the death was, if it was 4 or 5 days, or or they'll know within a couple of days, I would say, how long the body's been there at this point. If it would have been a skeleton, it would have been no way. They would have known, well, it has to be more than so many months to get a full skeleton. There's a place, and I know every one of you's heard about this. It's a place in Tennessee called the Body Farm, and it's run by, I think, the University of Tennessee. What they do, they take corpses that have been donated to science, and they leave them in basically open graves to measure how the body decomposes and how it, so they can figure out if they can figure out how long a person's been dead by their condition and the type of bugs and animals that get to the body. So, maybe they can find out. Yeah, I heard that, Lori, that he supposedly talked to someone and maybe gave an interview to a YouTuber. You know what? I doubt it. And I may be wrong. I hope he did, because that's going to give somebody some insight. But why? What would be his reasoning to do that? He's never once come out and he gave one little 25-second statement, pre-recorded statement, and if you saw my vent to Barry, I challenged him to go out and do it. I challenged him to call me. I challenged him to give a statement. Of course, I'm probably not big enough for him to, if he wanted to, but I kind of think that he may surprise me. He would shock me if that's true. Shock me. And I understand it was the Draper brothers, that is Tyson Draper's brother, that has made this comment, that he has given a statement. It will shock me, because why? Why now? Is he feeling the heat? I don't know. She was going to visit a newborn niece. Well, that was the first story. Wait a minute. I'm confused here then. Let me highlight you there, Cruising Tube. I like that name, Cruising Tube. That's a really neat name. I was going to tell you guys, Profiling Evil said the daughters are not living with Barry. Well, that I had heard that before. That says a lot right there. That does. I mean, you got your dad. Why not live with your dad? It's not like your stepdad. It's what I understand. It is their dad. But why not live with their dad? I think there was some domestic violence going on in the home. Wait a minute. Now we're talking about, you're talking, Pamela, you're talking about Marilane, right? We're talking about that. Their first story was she's going down there to visit her sister's having a baby. That was her first story. And then they came out, but she really was going to go and admit herself to a mental hospital where she used to be a chaplain. And then that's really how most of the law enforcement got involved, because it was a welfare concern. When law enforcement, say tonight, I go missing and I'm supposed to go to the store, and I end up vanishing off the face of the earth. My wife goes to the police station and says, my husband hadn't seen my husband in 2 days. I don't know where he's at. Well, where was he going? Well, he's supposed to go to the store, and he just disappeared. What they would do normally, and that's what this detective said, it's not a criminal case, they would put out a welfare concern. If you do a police report, most places, they put out a welfare concern. What they do, they put your tag number in the police database in NCIC's National Criminal Information Computer. And any tag or NCIC or a state computer. We had under Alabama, it's a CGIS. It's called a CGIS. And that's where I'm at. And by the way, I'm in Alabama. If a CGIS, yeah, I don't think I have an accent. You couldn't tell if I was in Alabama. I don't have an accent. But anyway, CGIS computer is where if I pull up behind a car and for whatever reason, something draws suspicion to me, I can call dispatch, or nowadays they can check inside their car. They can run that tag. And that tag, if it was a welfare concern, it would come up, bing, a bulletin on the car. Subjects missing, welfare concern. What they would do, they would stop me and say, hey, Thomas, your wife has reported you missing. And if I said, hey, guy, I'm okay, I just don't want to come home right now. There's nothing against the law with that. But what they would do, if I was not in crisis mode, if I didn't appear to be sick, if I didn't appear to be lost, if I appeared all my faculties, then they would say, okay, and they would notify the department that put that out that I stopped him. He was perfectly fine. He wanted to leave. I let him go. They couldn't hold him. They couldn't hold me. But now, because this is like running 8 or 9 days and you can't find you, if they stop you and you say, act crazy, or not really crazy, but, where have you been? Well, I'll tell you, officer, I'm just, I really don't, anyway, if they think anything's wrong with it at all, then they have an obligation to hold them until they get, at least call the paramedics out there and let them examine them. And then that would buy them enough time to call that place. Now, sometimes if it was a juvenile, or sometimes if juvenile, you can hold them. But say you stop somebody on welfare concern and something concerns you about it well enough, you could say, hey, how about calling that PD real quick, find out, tell them I have her stopped and everything's fine. And what do they want to do? And they could say on the other end, hold her, she is not fine, she's mentally unstable, she's fooling you. And then, then you're in a quandrum there. You got to call the paramedics, let them come over. They got to evaluate. I know in Florida, they have a title or section, I think it's Title 13 or something, where they can actually put you in a psychiatric hold for 24 hours. So, because she was looking for the right spot to commit suicide because it was an odd place to do it. I'm doing it in one of these Con-Ed boxes is probably the most weirdest place I've ever heard of. And if she didn't have medication to do it, or she didn't want to hang herself, or she didn't want to shoot herself, or she didn't want to jump off a bridge into the Mississippi River, and she didn't want to do, I guess. But I mean, that was just that may have been why she was taking 8 hours to drive 5 hours. But I mean, when she went into the store, they didn't say she seemed out of the ordinary, and she was barefooted when she came out. And I thought that was the only thing that was kind of weird. Yeah, I don't think she went to the Con-Ed box for sleep. I mean, she had credit cards. She'd go to a motel. She wanted to get some sleep. I don't know. I don't think accidental is the thing. I mean, you got to really want to go into a Con Ed box. I'm telling you, people, it's not as easy as you think in driving into one. You got to live there. If you want to see how hard it is to get into one, go out here on if you live on a road where there's a curb, 6-inch curb, put your car against it and try to get up on that curb. It's not that easy. I don't, you know, maybe I would, I don't know that, you know, this is just a weird one. I've never had a suicide where it was involving a Con Ed box. We've had suicides in store locks before. You know, somebody go in there and do it. Start a generator up inside of a store and lock. That'll do it. Or they, you know, here's another thing too. You got to realize, women, when they commit suicide, they don't want to mess herself up as far as their beauty. That's a weird thing. She had to know she wouldn't be found for a while. If you ever go, police always say, if you ever go to a crime scene where a woman shoots herself in the chest, you look at that crime scene. I did know of one that a girl shot herself in the chest. She got her makeup on. She got everything, you know, like she's ready to go out. They found her, the doors locked in her house, and she shot herself in the chest. It was very suspicious, and it even is to me right now, because women don't want to they want to die looking good, I guess, and it's a psychological thing. Men, on the other hand, you know, it's not. They don't care. I've seen suicides that wrap themselves in a blanket or a rug and they shoot themselves. One in particular, the guy sat on the side of a body of water, shot himself in the head with a shotgun. He fell back in the body of water, so it wasn't a messy scene. You know, just a lot of stuff like that. But I just don't. Yeah, I remember that. I think I even saw a documentary on it here lately. And, you know, one thing we don't want to do with this channel, and I don't think anybody else wants to do with any other channel, we don't want to cause continuing grief by the family. We don't want the family to be saying, gosh, why don't they just shut up? Why don't we let us bury our dead in privacy? Why don't they let this thing go? You know, let the family heal. Let the children heal. Okay, I'll do that. But you got to show me where this was a suicide and not a homicide. And there's just certain little questions I have that will probably work itself out that would be a suicide. But it's just so odd of doing it, pulling into a Connex box is so odd. And I'm saying that it is very odd. I've never, ever heard of one happening like that. Never. And, you know, when you can sit back and say 30 years, over 33 years of being in law enforcement, never once heard of something like that. Never. I mean, it's not to say it can't be. You know, I would like to now, you know, it makes me, when I get off here, I'm going to look it up. Suicides in Con Ed box or shipping containers. Maybe there's a website, you know, that says this girl did it or that guy did it. I don't know. I've never heard of it. But anyway, thanks for coming tonight. It's been an hour and 40 minutes now. I do apologize for the little thing about my laptop going dead. I couldn't believe it went dead that quick. But we're going to continue to follow this out. If you hear anything that is in reference to this, if you could send me an email and we'll address it on our next time we meet up. It should be Friday. This is Wednesday, isn't it? Yes, Friday. And I'm also still following if they do charge this guy with murder down in South Florida. I am still checking every day of everybody that I have featured, and then I am still leaving her information in our intro until we feel like we need to take it out. If somebody wants me to take it out, just tell me. But it's a strange situation. I'm anxious to listen to all the rest of the YouTubers that are covering this stuff and see what their take on it is. And we'll see if Barry has the guts to be interviewed. I personally don't think he does. And I don't see his motive for doing it. I'm sure there will be a motive, though, if he does it. And it'd be interesting. We'll look for it for sure. And look forward to all of y'all coming back on Friday. We hope that I appreciate it, Denise. I really do. I hope that it's that you can come back, and like I said, we'll be here Friday at 7 unless something breaks on any of this other stuff, and then I'll be sure to click in. I hated to do it so late last night, but I felt like it was something that needed to be said that we can be aware of, that it happened. I was shocked, to say the least. And we hope to see all of y'all back on Friday. And if you have any information about any case we covered, or you know of a missing person that you want me to cover, I've got a couple of them in the bag that I'm looking into. I'll look at information. Some of them that I've received information on, a couple of them to look at, but the problem is when I looked up anything, there's nothing. It's like this person walked out of the house and disappeared off the face of the earth. Now we can profile them and give y'all a heads up, give you any information that we have, but when there's zero information to be had, there's not much else to talk about. Really not. I hate it that way, and that's what I'm running into on this Erica Lloyd case out of California. She went out to get a sabbatical from all the COVID stuff and just basically walked out into wherever and disappeared. There's nothing hardly to look up on that. I'm going to try, though, to get an attempt to talk to one of her friends, maybe live online if I can. But anyway, thanks a lot for coming. Good night, everybody. God bless you. And like I said, I always at the end, I run a little stream so that I can put some stuff on here, and it runs about 20 seconds. So I'd appreciate it if you come back and next time and subscribe or share with your friends and tell them to subscribe. I sure would appreciate it. Y'all have a great night. God bless you.